Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to it. This is Impact Online, and thank you so much for joining us. Tonight is the start of something that's really amazing, and we're so glad that you're joining us as we kickstart this. My name is Kosiram Kumise, and I'm so glad to have you with us as we're launching this. And in case you're wondering what is Impact Online, it's going to be live discussions that's happening right here on our YouTube channel. And this evening, we're starting off with a brilliant discussion speaking about everything fathers. But before we get into that, if you're watching this and you haven't clicked the subscribe button, or you're watching this or you're listening to this and you're not even aware of our YouTube channel, I want to encourage you right now, before we get any further, go to youtube.com/Impact Online TV and make sure you click the subscribe button and that notification bell that you get notified the moment we go live. And if you're watching this on YouTube, just a little lower, you'll be able to click that YouTube subscribe button and make sure that you are a part of what's happening here at Impact Online. And this evening, I've got a guest with me in studio. We'll be speaking everything fathers, because this Sunday we know we celebrate Father's Day, and it's going to be amazing to be able to just take some time and discuss this, but not just off the cuff, but talk about it, an amazing production that's coming together, an amazing initiative that will be happening. And I've got with me Desmond Chauke from Heartlines that will be joining me as we speak about this wonderful initiative. Good afternoon, good evening, rather. Desmond, how are you doing?
Good evening to you too, Josi. How are you doing? And
I'm
good evening
doing
to
good.
the listeners and the viewers at home.
Yeah.
I had to practice that. It's not just the listeners who are listening in, but also to the viewers as well.
It went well. I can tell you that much. It almost sounded like you do this every day.
Wow. Thank you very much.
Well, Desmond, I'm looking forward to our discussion this evening, and I think it's going to be fantastic because we know that fathers play a massive role in society. They play a massive role in our community, in family structure, and it's going to be great to be able to discuss that with you this evening.
Definitely. It's going to be great. It's going to be, one of those conversations that is long overdue.
Yeah.
And I know it has to take, Father's Day and everything
Yeah.
else for it to happen. But we're just kick-starting it off. And from here on, we're just ready to move with it.
Yeah, and I think what I love about what you said is that it's taken a while for this discussion to happen,
Yes.
but it's finally happening, and I think that's the one thing we can be able to celebrate. The next generation will be in good space.
Yes.
But let's speak about Fathers Matter. What is Fathers Matter, and what is this that's coming up with Heartlines that they bring into us?
Yeah, so Fathers Matter is an initiative by Heartlines, and as you might know, Heartlines is an organization that just goes out into the communities where we spread a positive message about values. So we're basically a values-based organization, and we use various instruments and programs to reach our people. And part of how we do it is that we have what we call the stories. So we believe that stories are actually a tool to use to impact the nation. You might remember that we had our 8 values on TV, where we spoke about the 8 values, and we also had a whole lot of different stories and movies that were out there. But what we're saying with those stories is that we want to get the nation talking about issues that plague our society. What are some of the issues that plague our society, and how do we play a role in ensuring that we deal with them head on? And with Fathers Matters as our latest initiative, we are saying to men out there, we're asking a question that is important. How do you then play a positive role in your children's life? And we believe that for you to play that role, you need to be a father that's active, that's also present, but not just present, but play a positive role in your children's life in order for them to be the people or the person that we want them to be in the future, a person that has values, morals, and someone that can just lead us, especially in this time where leadership is in a vacuum in our country.
You've said something so interesting earlier. You've mentioned how this is a discussion we should have had forever ago. It's been needed for a long time, and we're finally having it. But tell me, why is what you'll be doing with Fathers Matters important? Why is it a very important subject for us to be focusing on and giving attention at this point in time?
At this current moment, why is it an important initiative? So there are a couple of things that we've done. We did do our research, and we found that children who grow up without a father figure or a father are at risk of some of the social ills in our communities. I'll just speak about myself as well to say you know, growing up without a father, losing my father at the age of 5 years old played an important role in the person that I am today. What am I talking about, Bukhosi? I'm talking about things like learning about being a man. What is it, this thing called being a man? What does a man look like? And how is a man supposed to act in the society? And growing up without a father, before I even speak about the research, the challenges that one experiences, you experience things like violence, bullying, you know, as a child. Where do you go as a child that is bullied? Who do you go to? There's no father figure out there. And even the perpetrator of that violence, you find that they're also experiencing the same thing. There could be a vacuum of a dad not being present in their life. So part of the research that we did, we found that children who grow up without a father are more at risk of them being perpetrators of violence, but also experiencing violence themselves. But not only that, through our research, we found that kids who grow up in households without a dad are more likely to even engage in substance abuse, alcohol abuse, drug abuse. And these are some of the things that I also experienced as a teenager because of the lack of positive role model. There are role models in the township. I have to put it out there. There are role models in the township. They are active in our lives. But are they positive role models that one can look at and say, this is the person that I want to model myself against? And while I'm talking about that, I'm just thinking about my own story, where even in my own community, my uncles, who were my role model back then, would model a society that is that says to me as a young man, for you to be part of this crew or for you to be considered cool, you need to be someone that drinks, firstly, smokes, you know, you just have to be someone who just can fit in, and someone who you know, engage in sexual activities. So those are the type of the role models that we had in the township. They were active, they were present, but was it a positive role model? So through
in the right direction.
In the right direction. And through our research, we found that those are some of the ills. But also to continue to talk about the girl child, through our research, we found that girl child are more likely to fall pregnant as teenagers. And the recap, the consequence of that is that after they fall pregnant, they quit school. So it tells you after quitting school what happens to them. They now have to fend for their kid, and we know what happens with that. And also, in our research, we found that even young men are more likely to drop out of school because of the lack of support, role models in their lives. But more scary, and this is something that also touched me, we found that young people are more likely to go on the street to beg, to fend for themselves because there's no father figure in the house. And through this research, it says to me, it says to you, Khosi, it says to the listeners and the viewers at home that a positive role model of a father or a father figure is important. And hence this discussion, hence this conversation at this very moment, because it says to me and you, it's about time that we address the root cause of it. And instead of us dealing with the what
symptoms,
we see, the symptoms in the society, why are these children so out of order? Have we looked at the family structure? Is there a dad, is there a role model there that is saying to them, this is how you shape your life? And I think that's why we're saying as Fathers Matters, this initiative needed to happen. It was based on the research that was done, but also based on our lived experiences, like I shared with you, losing my father at the age of 5 years old and having to go through the whole process of learning things on my own. As much as there were men who role modeled something in my life, but was it a positive role model? So those are some of the things that in our research we found, and we were like, let us address these issues. Let us go to the symptom instead of to the roots instead of dealing with the symptom. which is what we see in a community.
I love what you've said there, and the things that you've mentioned in the examples that you gave earlier. It's real things. It's realities that people face in their families, in schools, in communities. If you're speaking about substance abuse, teenage pregnancy, dropping out of school, it's very real things, and I think a lot of people can be able to relate. And I want to encourage everybody that's listening right now or viewing that you send us a message 0713640376 that we can be able to engage in this conversation together. Maybe you might be saying, you know what, Khosi, I know exactly what Desmond is talking about. Or maybe, hey, I want to ask Desmond a question of how do I navigate through whatever situation you might find yourself in. This is a place where we're able to engage together, and I'd love to hear from you. So send us a message on WhatsApp or drop a comment in our YouTube tab. Desmond, we've spoken about the gaps that's there. What is Heartlines hoping to achieve from this program? What is it hoping, other than bringing awareness of the situation, what is it hoping to have as the end result in this initiative?
So there are a whole lot of things that we have planned in terms of what we're hoping to achieve. But even before I get there, I just want to acknowledge our mothers, the women in our lives who played a role. I know I said a whole lot of things that could be looked at and viewed and say that where are the mothers in this situation? But the mothers are there. They play their role, they play their part. But the thing that we're saying is that with all that said, and looking at the part, I was also raised by women in my life who played a role in shaping the man that I became. And it's not to say that it is a sentence if you do not have a father who is active, who is present, and who's also playing a positive role. But what I'm saying is that we've identified a bigger problem to say not all things can be solved by our mothers, the motherly role. There are certain things that require a father figure, hence we're saying fathers matter. But we've identified certain gaps, like you said, and I just want to brush up on the gaps that we've identified that one might look at and say, you know what, these are the things that would make a person, or as a dad, you want to be involved in your kid's life, but there's some barriers that would stop you in terms of you having access to your child, your kid, your daughter. So firstly, we've identified that there is a knowledge gap. And when I talk knowledge gap, I mean, you look at, we know the role fathers play. And Khosi, let me ask this to the listeners at home, to say, you are a father today. You are a dad. You want to be a dad. Do you know of a school that teaches you about fatherhood? You know,
Not that I've heard of.
not that you've heard of. Do you know of a place that says, you know, today we're teaching fatherhood skills? There is no such thing. So there is a knowledge gap that says to me and you, with the stats that I said, not a lot of people are aware that if you do not have your father in your life, these are some of the things that you can go through, and some of us end up going through them without being aware. So that knowledge gap is there, and we're trying to say as Heartlines, how do we close the gap? And we do that through campaigns that we're doing now, which is bringing awareness, we're bringing knowledge, we're bringing skills, we're highlighting issues that really need to touch the heart. But also we've identified that part of what stops, or a barrier that stops men from actually engaging in this program, is that they see themselves not as providers. You know, if I tell you that I know a lot of guys who say, I can't be in my kid's life because I'm not a provider. And my question to them is, what are you providing? Are we talking money? Are we talking, what are we talking about? Because provision, it doesn't have to be money only. It can be your time. It can be your knowledge. It can be that. So we find men and fathers not being able to engage because they feel they need to have money when they go to visit. And I'm saying to them, do you know what your kids' hobbies are and their interests? Have you engaged with them in playing soccer? Have you engaged with them in knowing what is it that they want to be in life? Because we need that part as well. It's not only about money. We've had a situation in our county where a father's role was based on whether he can provide or not. And I think it's time that we move beyond that way of seeing and engage men in saying that you can provide your time. Provide your skill, provide your knowledge. If you want to be a father figure in someone's life, engage them in a positive discussion about manhood. We know puberty is always around the corner. What do you say to them when it comes to puberty? But also, another gap that we've identified, Khosi, is that culturally, our culture, it's beautiful. But one thing about culture is that it doesn't evolve with times. Let me make an example. We know as a father, you're expected to pay intlawulo, which is loosely damages, because you impregnated a girl, and now they need to know if you're able to put the money. So we find that when a man or a want-to-be dad is unable to provide the money, they are then prohibited from having access to the child. And when you look at that, you say, but hang on, this guy wants to be in their child's life, but they are denied this opportunity because they culturally, it says, if you didn't pay intlawulo or damages, the kid cannot inherit your name, your surname. So it says, it takes us backwards in terms of what we're trying to achieve as headlines. But we're saying at the same time that we are culturally sensitive to say, how do we then sit around the table, discuss with the leaders in the communities to say, I understand that culture demands this, but how can this man who wants to be in their children's life and want to play a positive role, how can they be involved so that we can, as much as we want them to be paying, they can't do it at the current moment. How do we deal with that?
Without robbing the child.
Without robbing the child of this opportunity, you know? So those are some of the things that we've identified. And also, just to touch on the resources, I mean, I asked you a question to say, where do we go if we want to learn about fatherhood? So there's a lack of resources in terms of that. We understand if you want to be a mother, there are postnatal classes, and there's a whole lot of things that are there for women, but we're saying, are there anything for men? We know we hang around Stockfells and places like that, but what do we discuss? And part of what we're trying to close as a gap, as Heartlines, is to provide the resources that I'm talking about, where men, fathers learn how to upskill themselves. How do you speak to your child? That's another thing. How do you speak to your child? Do you have the skills to address your child when they come to you and say, Dad, you know what, I'm having a tough time? Do you say to them, be a man?
Yeah.
Be a man.
You guide.
Yes. You can't cry. You know, a man doesn't cry. Those are some of the things that we've identified as gaps to say, but how do we then navigate around that? So those are some of the skills that we're talking about and the gaps that we're trying to close, yes.
I think in the gaps that you've mentioned so far, it really highlights that there's a lot of things that need addressing for
Exactly.
men. And I can only imagine that a discussion like this can only get us so far. What are some of the ways that you're looking to use as mediums to get the information that you've mentioned out and to reach our community?
Yes. So mediums that we're trying to use, firstly, is this medium called radio and YouTube, the internet. So we're trying to get the conversation started using that platform, but also from our end, which is what I'm excited about as we go forward, is that we have movies or films that we are working on. So these films are trying to address issues that plague the society, especially as fathers. So we're talking about relationships, forming relationships with the people that are close to us, the children. We're speaking about children in particular. How do we form relationships? So we're going to be creating a bunch of movies or films that address that, and that's where the edutainment part comes into place. So we're educating, but at the same time,
being entertained.
Yes, you're being entertained, but you're being entertained at the same time. You're being provoked because you're looking at this and you're thinking, yeah, this is my child sitting next to me, and they see how an active, positive role model is in the society, and it forces me to change. But not only that, through our website, let me just plug it in there to say, through our website, which is www.fathersmatter.org.za, we have a whole lot of resources. We have videos where we did workshops with men, that addresses issues that we're talking about, but not only workshops. We have reading material. The research that I'm talking about is there on the website. A whole lot of information is there, but also when you are on the website, because we're trying to create a community of men that can engage and fathers that can engage with positive values. So we have resources that speak to that, but also we're saying to men in your community, identify other men or father figures that can be role model, and take our resources that are there on the website. Call us, give us a WhatsApp call, or just say hi to us via our website, and we're going to give you resources that you can use to speak to the men in the community while you're sitting there at the Chisanyama at the corner. Engage in such issues, but also what we're more excited about is the community we're trying to reach via Facebook. We have a group of men that we want them to be champion. We call them, we want them to be the champions of our society in terms of the fathering experience. So we have a Facebook page, Fathers Matter, that you can go to right now as you're watching live. Go there, click Fathers Matter, join the group, look at the conversation that fathers are having. What are some of the challenges? Pose your questions. If there are any events that are happening in and around our country, we let you know, because we have a footprint that has been established in all the provinces. So we'd like to engage there. But lastly, on our WhatsApp number, I don't know it by heart.
Fortunately for you, it's appearing right now at the bottom of the screen that they'll see 060 number.
Yes,
it is there.
Yes. So on our WhatsApp, send us a hi. Tell us what are some of the challenges that you're experiencing, because we know there's no school for being a father. Hit us up. Let us know what the challenges. If you want to invite us, because we also do workshops. Well, right now COVID-19 is not allowing us to do a lot of that, but we do virtual talks as well, where we have a platform where men can engage with us. So those are some of the things that are uplifting, but also not just a talk, but these are things that really speak about the skills that men need. And the platforms that I spoke about are some of the platforms that we are hoping to engage with the fathers in our communities.
You've mentioned some things that have really triggered something. I got a message that just popped up here on YouTube, Zinhle, saying our nation really needs role models. Families especially needs role models. And I see Marona's also mentioning about culture is definitely something that plays a role to the way we establish this. But I received a message on WhatsApp that has brought a very interesting thing, and maybe we sort of reaching our hand into the future and out of curiosity might give us an exclusive. But this is from a father who's saying, there's a big gap for fathers who need to be present. But there's also a big gap for children and sons and daughters to be able to know the importance of fathers and see the importance of their role in their lives. Do you think we could look forward to, in the resources and the information that you'll be bringing out in the edutainment, something that highlights specifically in that direction?
Yes, definitely. Like you said, not to say much about it, but in our research, obviously, you heard me highlighting things that plague children in terms of them not moving forward, not having a bright future. So as much as we're addressing fathers, but we're also speaking to children. And I'm sure in the future, when I come back in this platform, we're going to address specifically issues that have to do with youth, seeing that this is Youth Month, by the way.
Yes.
But we cannot speak about youth without speaking about the impact of fathers, because one thing that I know about myself, and I know about a lot of young people, is that the first person who is your role model is your dad, is your father, or it's a father figure that is closer to you. So we when we address issues of father, it's like we're addressing issues that have to do with children at the same time. But I'm very much aware that kids, children also need a platform where they can also vent out. They can also speak about their challenges. And I'm saying that there is something on the pipeline. I'm not going to say much.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. I'll keep you with that. Desmond, I can only imagine how many fathers you want to reach with this. And if you were to put it as an estimation,
Yeah.
how many fathers are you hoping to reach with this project?
Oh, it's ambitious. I just want to look at the screen as I say this. So our project is hoping to reach 1 million fathers in the next two years. It's ambitious, but you know what? We are trusting and believing God
Yeah.
for His grace, for His mercy, for His multiplication to give us the grace to reach 200 a million men. And obviously, we're not going to do it alone. Hence, we need platforms like this to impact as many men as possible. So that's our ambition.
I like it.
1 million
Yeah.
men in the next years, and with the help of God, we are going to reach it.
I think what's amazing about specifically saying that is that it highlights all the families represented in this 1
Yes.
million number
Yes.
of how it will start to bring change in our community.
Exactly.
Not just in that one person, not just in that one family, but it will bring massive change to many families and organizations that may be involved.
Definitely. Let me just say one thing
Yeah.
before you. So I'm speaking to 1 million men right now. You know, we're putting it out there, and I'm saying to you, to each and every one of us, when we're talking about reaching 1 million fathers, we are talking about reaching a community. Imagine if change happens to 1 million men. What will happen to the children in the community? How is that going to help shape that active, that positive presence in a child's life? And we just saying to fathers out there, give us this platform, take our WhatsApp number, give us a hi, and so that we can come to you and your community and share this information, because it's free. One thing I didn't say is that none of this is
paid for.
It's paid for.
All of it is
but
completely
it's completely free.
Yeah.
We just need them to be engaging with us if you are serious about this thing.
I think what you guys are about to get into is something that will really make a difference, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to many more discussions we will have.
Definitely.
And really highlighting
Definitely.
Fathers Matter.
Yeah.
Desmond, thank you so much for joining us. And for everybody who's listening or watching and you want to get more details, you're welcome to visit their website, which is www.fathersmatter.org.za, or you can visit them on Twitter or Facebook. That's at Heartlines ZA, or use the WhatsApp number that's on there. That 060 number. Just send a message, hi, and they will be in touch with you and make sure that you are part of what is happening there. And I just want to tell you this. If tonight's discussion is anything to go by, I want to encourage you that you don't miss this. Go to our YouTube page if you're not there. If you are watching from YouTube, make sure you click that subscribe button. Like this video, click the notification bell that you don't miss it, and you become a part of the conversations that's happening here. Because this is not just speaking for the sake of speaking, but this is conversations and topics that are very real and relevant in all our lives, and you all feel the effects of it. Desmond, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week, Tuesday.
Definitely.
It's going to be amazing.
Thank you.
From me, Kosi Dankomises, this is how we wrap it up. It's been absolutely amazing, and I'm looking forward to having you join in further discussions, having you become a part of it. And this is the vision of Impact Online, having discussions about things that we know you want to hear about, having discussions about things that we know you can engage in, having discussions about things that we know will make a difference in our community. And until we meet again next week, 6 o'clock, don't miss it. Make sure to set that reminder and invite your friends to become a part of what is happening here. This is goodbye and good night.